It happens. It is what it is. We saying?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's been too long, bruv. I've had a couple of busy weeks. I've been away on holidays, and well, I say holiday. It wasn't really a sunbathing holiday, but it was a nice little break. And I've been busy, man. I've been trying to keep away from Arsenal, but it seems really difficult. One, because it's now my job, but two, when you look at things, you want to try and relax. But there's so much transfer stuff every day that people are losing their minds about and excited about and have different opinions about. So let's break it down, man. How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Like you said, it's been a few weeks where we haven't been able to do this. I share your sentiment in that. Like yesterday, for example, I thought I was gonna have an easy day, not after anything. I see we're linked with this Valencia lad, and obviously everyone, like all of us content creators, we got to do the live streams and offer our opinions, etc., etc. Let's start there then, man. Like obviously, I think most fans can comprehend transfers do take long. There's a lot of intricacies around it, but when you see what other teams are doing and things, you can't help but feel we need to be with that. Do you feel people are panicking? And if you do you think they're valid in those claims?
I think some people are panicking. I think some people have concerns. I would probably say I'm in between that a bit because I appreciate and understand the PTSD of January and the previous summer, DG. Do you know what I'm saying? So when people tell you to calm down, they're the same faces that were telling us to calm down in January. And they're the same faces that were saying that we're going to go mad and do a madness in the last couple of days of the summer, only to find that Raheem Sterling was the deadline day signing, right? So I kind of get why people would have concerns and issues about it. I don't think there's any level of trust within the ownership or the board, but I think that could change with Andrea Berta coming in. Now, I think that's the only thing that's given us a glimmer of hope and some reassurance that we might have a summer that might not replicate the ones that have been a disaster in the previous seasons, right? So when I look at the players we're linked with, at the moment, it looks like we're doing our business in terms of trying to get some squad players in first, and then we're going to go bang in the 1st of July onwards. That's what it looks like, and we hope it's going to be that, right? I do understand, though, why people are getting frustrated about this, because when you're looking at Liverpool and Manchester City, people have, and I've been guilty of saying this, don't look at what everyone else is doing, look at what we're doing. I've said that. The problem is it's very difficult when those signings are extremely exciting. Ryan Cherky coming in, I know is a player you've liked. Ryan Cherky, Reinders, obviously we've got Florian Wirtz coming in at Liverpool. They're looking like they're going to go all out for a big summer, as well as Man City now. I'm not too fussed about what the other clubs are doing yet, but if Chelsea and Newcastle were to start moving mad as well, I think a lot of people would start to panic then and look behind us as opposed to looking forward, because right now, with the business that's been done, I think Arsenal are favourites to come third in the Premier League, and that's not what we want, right? So I will say this. I think that Arsenal need to now show the fans that they're serious. This is the summer we want to see.
Goosebumps, as Arteta said.
Yes, and I want to see goosebumps, and I don't believe Kepa gives me goosebumps, bruv. Yeah, so I need to see more than this, and I think there's a difference between doing wise business and quality business, and I understand that you've got to do both, and I understand that there's some shrewd business. I also understand that there's a level of understanding of what player is coming in to improve our squad or improve our first 11. I get this, but I'm not going to sit there and have a go at people for saying that they're slightly worried or they have concerns. I think they have a right to have concerns, DG, over the last couple of windows. So that's kind of where I'm at, bro.
I don't think you're wrong, man. I think that, I think there's fans, that will sit on the more positive fence where it's like, okay, I know the club's working, which is true, whether we like the signings or not, or whatever, there's that. There's obviously fans that, are just going to slag off the club. But then there's fans like, I think yourself, me, and many people in the chat in that we understand deals take long and whatnot, and we're prepared to be patient. But then also at the same time, you burned us in the summer, you burned us in January, you've talked a good game, and we're not on the ground. We're not, obviously, if me or you had Berta or Arteta's number, any decision maker, and we could WhatsApp them and they're saying, oh, calm down, we're getting this done, we'd be kind of cool. The club needs to show us stuff. We're going to get more in depth in like the Nordgaard and the Kepa and the Zubimendi and all of those things. But I just wanted to ask you, as it stands with this Mascara guy coming in, Nordgaard's coming, Kepa's coming, Zubimendi's coming, as it stands, are we stronger for you?
We're stronger in certain positions. I feel like we're probably stronger in the goalkeeping position, even though Kepa's a bit of a mess signing. That Neto was a disaster. So we've actually got a goalkeeper that's a Premier League goalkeeper that seems like he can actually do a job. I don't think he's a great signing, but I don't think he's a horrific one. We're probably stronger at the centre-half position because finally it looks like if Mascara comes in, we've actually got somebody that can cover for Saliba.
Can play right back as well.
And he plays there, yeah. So he plays in a number of positions. I don't think we're stronger in midfield. I actually think Partey and Jorginho are stronger than Zubimendi and Nordgaard. And I'm only saying that by what I've gone by. Partey is an unbelievable central defensive midfielder. Jorginho has given experience, but also some good quality performances individually for Arsenal in terms of consistency and reliability. I think you're losing.
Good with Rice for a point.
Exactly. I remember when you double pivot with Rice, I think when you look at the scenario of a couple of games last season just gone, we had him in. But the season before that, he got man of the match against Liverpool and City at the Emirates, where we beat them both.
Mm.
So this is a good player. Now, I'm not going to say that Norgard is a bad signing. What I am going to say is it's a downgrade on Partey and Zubimendi, because that was what we all wanted to see, right? So I think we're downgraded in midfield. And so far, we've done nothing in attack. So I wouldn't say that we're particularly stronger at the moment. I'd say that we're probably no stronger. We now need to see these attackers come in, because that's what's going to lift us, DG. And I know we're going to talk about it, but the moment you start to see attackers being linked, whether the names are exciting or what, you're at least thinking, right, okay, well, there's positions we need. We need to add to our attack. That's what's going to excite it. Bringing in a backup goalkeeper and some central defenders or defensive midfielders is fine, and we need to do that alongside it, but they're not going to excite the crowd. You can't. I don't think people understand that is going to do nothing to the fans that have question marks. They're going to go, right,
I'm going to move the needle.
That's the word. So for me, that's what we need to look at now, is what are these players going to do to come in the door and us go, okay, you said goosebumps, I'm with you. That's what I want to be feeling this window. And, when you're saying these words, goosebumps and big summer and war chest and serious,
Powder dry.
You've got to now deliver on those words. Because when you say that you're going to have a huge summer and you deliver Calafiori and Marino and Sterling, you make yourself look like a bit of a plonker, right? Now that we've said it's going to be a big summer, I need to see the striker. I need to see the winger. I want to see an exciting, creative midfielder alongside the ones that we're bringing in. There's nothing wrong with the ones we're bringing in terms of the positions, right? I'm not looking at that
isolation,
guy. Exactly. I'm not looking at that guy and, well, they're going to be fifth choice. What we're bringing him in for? And, well, he's never going to get kicked. What we're bringing him in for? We obviously need squad players. You need a squad, right? So I would say that there are definite sort of question marks about the order of priority that we're going in. But as long as the players come in by the end of the window, we'll all be okay. We could be like worried right now, like I've been, or concerned like I've been, some are in panic meltdown mode. But actually, when you get to the stage where it shuts and you have the 25-man squad we're looking at, cool, calm.
You're like, fair enough.
Yeah. And that's what we got to get to, bruv. But the actual defender that you mentioned, like coming in, Mosquera, I actually like it. And I'll tell you why. There's a few reasons why I quite like it. And it seems weird me saying this. I've never seen him, right? I don't know much about him. So he could be another Mustafi for all I know.
However, God forbid. God
I know,
forbid.
right? That reminds me of it. Because
plays for the same team as well. I'm scared. Exactly, you're making me nervous now, Dan, man.
Exactly, bro. Right? I'll tell you why I like it. One, I like it because it's a position that I feel like we need. A lot of people will laugh and say, what, another defender? Well, we do need it because Arthur got bloody leaving, right? He's a side that can cover Saliba, which we've not had for God knows how long. That's the first thing I like. The second thing I like is Andrea Berta has apparently been pivotal to this signing. Now, the reason I like that is for obvious reasons. But when people say, how can you say that you don't know who he is? I'm actually quite excited to find some diamonds in the rough in the squad, because I think squad players, you don't want to do a diamond in the rough for the 11, but for a squad player, I'm happy with that, because I didn't know who Diogo Jota was until he came to Wolves. But apparently, Berta knew who he was and he bought him Atletico Madrid. He knew who Rodri was when he was at Villarreal, right? No one else did when he was at Atletico Madrid. He knew who De Paul was. He knew who Vasalco was. All of these players that he's bought.
He got past it Suarez when Barca wanted to get rid of him and they won the league with him, Atletico. So he's shown he can pivot and find stuff.
You're hearing me. So he's finding some shrewd business himself. The Norgard signing, from what we understand, was a Mikel Arteta one. Zubimendi, we know was Mikel Arteta. And if we do get Sesko, it'll be Mikel Arteta. But when I look at these players coming in these positions, maybe a creative midfielder, maybe a defender, maybe a wing back, wherever it be that he wants to bring in, I'm looking at Berta thinking, yeah, that's your signing now. Because he sounds exciting. He's 21 years old. He's obviously an absolute beast. He's got a lot of attributes I like in terms of pace, power, and strength. I don't know how comfortable he is on the ball, but I like his passing range on YouTube. That's all I've seen is YouTube clips. I haven't seen it. I don't watch Valencia, brother. I don't watch La Liga, right? But from what I hear and understand, he's
cheap
quite
as well, man. A lot of upside in that regards. If it goes left, we can move him on.
So at £17 million as the tops, I think Alberta's trying to get him for cheaper than that. It's nothing wrong with it, is there? Like, you're not going to look at that deal and go, well, that's absolutely horrendous. What are we doing spending 15 minutes? He's actually going to come in and provide cover for Saliba. Apparently, he can play left-sided centre-back as well. I know people have said he can play full-back. I don't think he plays left-back, but I think right-back is something he's mentioned. So I don't think it's a bad signing, this one, if I'm honest. It's not one that excites me, but it's one that I think makes sense. And if Berta's going to come in and do some business like that, I think we've got to give it a chance to blossom before we start poo-pooing the signings. I'd rather go and get him than go and get Johnny Evans, right? So let's look at it in that way and respect and say, let's give this guy a chance. At 21 today, apparently, He's got a chance to be a very good player. He's happy to come in and fight with Gabriel and Saliba. So that's good, because if you get in Mark Gea, he's expected to start, and he ain't going to. So
And
you've
that
got to be
Housen,
wise
by
in
the way,
that
went
respect.
Madrid.
Facts, Housen as well. So now let's just see what this does. It looks like it's happening. Let's see how it plays out, man. What do you think?
And that's where I'm at, Dan. In that, for me, I describe the business we've apparently done so far as like, it's like if I'm going shopping, I'm going Primark. It's like, respectfully to all the guys we've signed, with the exception of Zubimendi, I'm quite bullish around his signing. But with the exception of his and more like the Keppers and these kind of squad players, it's like I've gone to Westfield, I've gone Primark, I've bought some black socks and boxes, essentials. Now I want to go to, I don't know, Gucci or Armani. That's how I look at the striker stuff. So that's where I want to go with that. And like you said, you know, if we're showing we can pivot early, get players that are a bit of diamonds in the rough, I'm with that. One thing that gives me confidence with the Mascara signing, I'm like, he's 20. I'm expecting him to have games where, you know, when you see like a 20-year-old, he might move like a prime Tony Adams one week, and then the next week he looks like a young defender doing some clangers. If there's one thing I'll give Mikel Arteta credit for, it has been improving defenders. Now, fair enough, I rated Timber before he signed for Arsenal, but I think Timber's done all right. I think Ben White's got better under Mikel Arteta. I think, you know, Saliba went out on loan and whatnot, but as he's been coming back in the team, he's done well. And Gabriel Magalhaes is probably the best example. So that gives me a lot of confidence that we can get something out of him. The fact that he can play centre half, obviously, is something that I'm attracted by. But it's also right back. We had a post-season Timber, well, post-ACL Timber having to play through the mud. And I'm sure you've spoken about the interview he did the other day. Obviously, Benjamin White's had surgery, and there's been to and from in that regards. I wouldn't say we've got false depth defensively, but I do think you do when you break it down. Like, obviously, we know the hamstring injuries were kind of predictable. Zinni's probably gone. Kivio, I don't know what's happening. I'd keep him, but he might want to go. Tierney's obviously left. I love Calafiori and Tomiyasu, more so Tomiyasu, but these men can't stay fit. And when you're in, you know, it's all fun and games in August when it's one game a week. When it starts getting to 2 games a week, 3 games in 10 days, we've probably played about 20 games in all comps. This is where you need a squad. And I like the fact that Mosquera is wanting a challenge, if I'm honest with you, broski, because I think of the 38 games, just by looking on Google, of the 38 games, I think something like 38 games La Liga that they've played in La Liga, or he's played 37 of those. Now, you're not going to get that at Arsenal, right? Kind of what you said with Gerhi. So that tells me that you're down for the cause, you're down to fight, and he's Spanish as well. So I guess there's some sort of stuff in that regard. So I'm all for that. I kind of want to go back into midfield because I've lightly touched on it. Yeah, let's talk about Partey first. Like, what do you make of Partey departing, and also, do you think he could actually stay? Because apparently he's in Spain at the moment with them. Look.
Yeah, I heard today judges told me that he's actually traveled with them and he's having a chat or whatever. But look, I want him to stay. I feel we should be allowing him to stay, but I do think now my gut feeling is that he's probably going. Zubimendi, and of course, Norgard coming in means that there's probably no room now to keep anybody else other than that as a backup. So I think Norgard comes in as the backup. Obviously, he's Premier League proven. I'm not so sure that that's like an upgrade. But for me, Thomas Partey leaving, I think is a big problem. And I think it's a big problem for 2 reasons, actually. I think it's a problem for first team and backup, because I actually think he's still our best number 6 at the club. I think last season he was clearly our best midfielder. And then I look at the backup situation, and I'd rather have Partey and Zubimendi than I would Zubimendi and Norgard.
I'm with
Now,
that.
yeah. Now, I understand that people have said we're saving money. It's unbelievable business. I couldn't give a shit about this accountant crap about saving money. I want the best.
Unless you're gonna go and spend mad money up front, that's the only way I care about saving peas.
Fact. So if you said to me this signing is allowing us to go and get Rodrigo, not Garnacho, then cool. Let's go and get it done. But it's not going to, DG. It's saving us like a couple of mil, isn't it? Like, let's be real. We've spent 11 million and 5 on Norgard, whatever it's going to be, plus his wages, instead of giving 50 grand a week to Thomas Partey. Now, for me, I'd rather have Thomas Partey than Norgard. As much as I think he's a Premier League proven player, he's quite good, he's half decent. Yeah, he's not amazing, but he's okay backup. I don't think you're upgrading the squad there. I think you're downgrading the position. So I've still got my doubts. Yeah, and I feel like I've still got my doubts about Zubimendi coming in and being better than Partey. I think he's a good player, by the way, and I think Zubimendi will prove that he's a good player. But
he's untested in the Prem. He's going to need adaptation. You're right.
So if you look at Rodri, he needed time. He was brilliant now, but he needed time. For 2 seasons, people were going, "What's this then?" Zubimendi, on the other hand, he might, at that age of 26, I know he's a bit older than what Rodri was when he first come to Man City, but he might need a year. So I don't know, man. I think he's a really good number 6, but is he as good as Partey? I'm not sure. Partey's had injuries. Partey's on a lot of money. I think this is is this worth it? They've decided no. I personally feel like it would be. And there's a risk that he could get injured again, Partey, but there's a risk that Zubimendi could. Timber did when he first come. So there's always a risk of injury. I think we've got to get Partey and Zubimendi, but it looks we're gone for Zubimendi and Norgard. I don't think that is an upgrade personally.
You said it there. I don't think it's an upgrade per se. I'll give the club credit, quote unquote, because you know you've quickly addressed some sort of issue. One midfielder's gone, you've brought in another one. I don't think Nordgaard's a needle mover. I don't think it's exciting, but you know what? I feel with Partey and Jorginho going, we are losing a lot of experience. I do think you're Premier League proven. I think the set piece manager is going to love you. You could just plug a gap in the squad, but it's not an upgrade. Like you, I would have preferred to obviously have kept Partey. I don't know for the budget. Clearly, we are not working with the craziest of budgets, but I used to say the club needs to weigh up the costs of, you know, if you're going to go, I don't know who the midfielder would be, but if you're going to replace Partey, like direct quality, excluding Zubimendi, because as you said, and I think you're right, we wanted both of them, right? How much would that cost? If I assume 45, 50 million like Partey, is that cheaper than just keeping Partey for a year or two? Now, of course, it seems like a no-brainer in my mind to keep Partey. He could revert back to type, start getting injured. I do think the one fear I'd have with Partey, with Zubimendi, is that if Zubimendi is going to be the upgrade, I do think, Dan, that Partey is one of those weird players. He's not plugging and play. He needs to like be starting 5-10 games, get his little rhythm, and just keep it moving in that regard. So it depends, and I think it's a peculiar one in that I think the only reason this is dragged on is because Partey's been good this season. I think Partey's always been a good player, but me and you have been doing content a long time. He's always felt like one in the summer where they're not forcing him out, but for one reason or another, they will field offers. They're kind of half trying to get him to go to Saudi or whatever. Do you think Partey's right to ask for more money? Because I must admit, Dan, I'm a bit conflicted. On one hand, if you really, I got my fan cap on, if you really love the club and all of that, you have to realize that the club is stuck with you with injuries. Just take whatever wages they're giving you, because I'm pretty sure whatever they've got on offer, you're not going to get that in all the other teams you're linked with unless it's Saudi Arabia. But then on the other hand, I understand it. He's been on the same contract, probably because of injuries, since he signed for the club. And he's probably saying, one, it's a short career. Two, if Arteta, you rate me this much, give me a new deal. Three, I'm like, bro, like, you look at who earns a lot of money at this club and who are our real key players, he should be there. But do you think Partey is right to ask for more money, like, in your opinion?
So there's an argument to be had that he doesn't have a right because he's had one fit season in 4. I get that. But I also understand when he's looking around thinking, well, when I stay fit, I'm one of the best players in this team. I'm pivotal. We saw that at PSG, that I'm needed in that midfield. And Havertz is on 290, so I'm going to ask for 250. And that's basically what I believe he's asking for, roughly, from what we're hearing. They've said, no, we're not giving you more. They've probably offered some form of stay the same or a bit of a pay cut. He's felt disrespected and probably felt, well, I've got other offers. I'm going to go and earn more money over there and have one last couple of years somewhere else. So I don't think
he's got Prem offers.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think he's got a right to say, you know, this is for me. Like, you know, I don't think he's got a right, but he's not. It's not like, wow, this is deserved. But I don't think it's undeserved at the same time. I don't think you can sit there and go, what? You're going to be offering Partey that? What? Like, it's a year with an option. Like, let's calm down. It's not like we're giving him a 6-year deal on 250K a week here. Like, the guy's 31 or 32 nearly. You give him a deal with an option, and if he's still playing at his level, cool. If not, then you let him go. It's simple. Like, it's a really simple deal to do. I can't believe it. Now, one thing I agree with you on is how quickly we dealt with the situation. But how can it take 5 hours to buy a central defensive midfielder and 5 years to buy a striker? Like, this is what I don't get with this club. We've needed this for a long time.
Yeah,
and in 5 hours, we can go, our party wants to go, right, let's get Norgard in. 5 hours, done deal. And then we go 5 years later, we're still waiting for someone to be a striker that's better than Jesus Havertz.
We've got our striker now, Dan, man. Norgard, Merino, Havertz. It could, you never know. I wouldn't rule it out. Stranger things have happened, bro. And we probably lost a right back option in Thomas Partey for Mikel Arteta. It's madness,
Crazy.
man.
I mean, like that Norgard, to be fair, is actually going to come in and be very similar to what we've got in Merino in terms of the set pieces, because he's good from set pieces. He's obviously aerially very good. He's physically good. His duels are very good. So he's got some attributes that you like in your midfield. But I do have this kind of anxiety about him, Merino, Havertz, all standing in the box waiting to get their bonds on it. I'm not really interested in that. I want to play this style of football we're all dreaming of watching, which is scintillating to watch. But signings like that aren't going to allow us to do that, bro.
I'm with you, man. Do you, because this is actually, it's actually asked here. That's actually bang on the money. I was going to ask you. Big up Valera, one of the mods. Are you happy with the left 8 options? If Declan is rotated or has an injury next season, we need to get other creative options in that position. That's where Eze comes in. Now we'll get into Eze in a second, but that is something that went through my mind before Nordgaard even became a thing. I thought, do you know what? When it became clear that Partey is going to move, can we go for an 8? Nothing to do with Rice. I'm more than happy to see Rice playing that 8. I'm being converted in that regards. I still think his bread and butter is the 6. I just don't think we've got different profiles. It's like we've got more 6s than an 8. Like you mentioned Rangers earlier. Now clearly we can't get him, but him, for example, someone of that skill set, like I think we're lacking there. And I am a bit concerned about midfield because Zubimendi is going to have to get up to speed. He's going to have to learn how Rice plays and all of that kind of stuff. Like, could it have been an opportunity to pivot towards something completely different than a 6 per se?
So I think the 8 position at Arsenal is actually fairly weak. I still have my doubts over Declan Rice playing in his advanced 8. I think he's a box-to-box midfielder, and I think the 8 might have to be deeper this season, right? Got no problem with that. If that's the case, they want to go there, cool. I don't think there's an advancement with Declan Rice. I don't look at his game and think, right, he's going to be our Frank Lampard. I think Declan Rice could be more of a Gilberto Silva, Patrick Vieira type, where you're kind of like 2 pistons of the engine. I think that's where Declan Rice is. He covers every blade of grass. He's up and down the pitch. He's defending as much as he's attacking. That's what I think he is, right? We saw that against Real Madrid, Manchester United, PSV. I've seen it and thought, yeah, he can do that. When he's standing outside the edge of the box, I like it because he can have a dig, but I'm not too sure that he's the one I want driving forward and taking all of our shots. That's just my opinion. Some people disagree and they think he's a Gerrard or a Lampard. I don't. I see him more as a box-to-box or a holding midfielder, right?
That's fair.
And that's Rice. Marino, I don't like him midfield. I like him up top. I don't think that he is a midfielder.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Isn't it weird? I don't rate the guy in midfield. I think he's a very average midfielder.
I'd rather him in the 8 than the 6. I'll say that much.
Yes, I would. The 6 I'm fine with because we've got Zubimendi, Rice, and Nordgaard. We don't need any more bloody 6s, right? We've got enough of them. But I would have loved to have seen a Reinders or a Morgan Rogers coming into this 8 position because it gives us athleticism. Now, the other thing we could do, and that some people have suggested, and I actually do think Arteta might go with this, we're being linked with Yoral Harto, and people will scream and go, another left back, another left-sided back. Do you know why I'm okay with it? Because I think it will allow Lewis Skelly to play in the 8 at some time.
Big him up on that new deal as well.
Big him up on the new deal and big him up as a lad. I love him. I think he's still got it in him to play in that position. I love the athleticism. I think his strength is better than I've seen at any 18-year-old ever. I think when you look at what's happening with Harto, I think Harto might actually be able to be a timber at left back.